Welcome to the High Rise Podcast, presented by Headset, the leading data and analytics company for the cannabis industry.
Welcome back to the High Rise, a laid-back, data-back conversation where we talk all things cannabis, from US MSOs to Canadian LPs, products and market analysis through the lens of data. My name is Cy Scott with Headset, and I am joined, as always, by Emily Paxia of Poseidon.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the High Rise.
It is good to be back.
It's good to be back.
I thought I'd kick off today with a few fun facts about New Jersey. What do you think? Do you know a lot about New Jersey?
I know a bit about New Jersey.
I don't know much about New Jersey, but I know some fun facts. Like, did you realize saltwater taffy was invented in Atlantic City?
No, but it feels right.
It does feel right.
It feels like the kind of place you would eat that. Yeah.
Are you a saltwater taffy person?
No. I'm not too much of a sweets person, so there's something about the taste profile. I wish it was, I know this is going to sound funny, but I wish it actually was saltier.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, I kind of like sea salt chocolates are kind of fun,
Sure.
but I don't know. What do you think about the saltwater taffy?
Yeah, salt in candy is good, or salted caramel, all of that. But saltwater taffy, probably pretty low on the list of candies. It's not bad, but I never go out of my way to get it. Like at the store, they always have it in these big barrels and you scoop it. And I'm never like, you'll never catch me. That would be funny, right? Just what's I doing over there, filling a bag of saltwater taffy? But I will, if it's around, I certainly will pick it up and eat it. Like I won't not avoid, but I'm going on my way to procure it directly.
I think it's like a filler candy. Like if we get a gift basket from someone and it's regional to the East Coast, I feel like there's just like saltwater taffy thrown in, kind of like packing peanuts. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. It's certainly an old-timey candy, right?
Like Necco wafers or...
Yes.
Yeah. You know what I like more is like a fireball because...
Oh, sure. Cinnamon.
Cinnamon, and it lasts longer. It's kind of nice.
Yeah, you're not talking about the whiskey. You're talking about the candy, right?
No, that would... I feel like that's fighting alcohol. Like
the worst. Just the worst.
No,
although there is a Fireball cannabis brand, Fireball whiskey cannabis gummies in California, I've seen. So
did we see them at the Hall of Flowers, I think?
Maybe. I know Pabst Blue Ribbon was there. I'm sure other alcohol companies, but yeah, they've made the jump. Where's our saltwater taffy though? We don't rank that in Headset yet. It's under edibles. Gummies do really well. Maybe saltwater taffy. New Jersey, here's your opportunity.
Yeah, it's funny. The gummy category, I've been doing a lot of Headset data tracking on it as one of it's like vape is growing so quickly. Edibles shows up as growing, but when you drill in, it's gummies that are growing. And, there was a lot of, Wild has been leading it, Wana has been leading it, and then you've seen a lot of growth. Whenever things look good, people want to get in. But the other aspect of like chewy candies that I see that's getting traction is that Starburst type candy.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Yeah, like the Lost Coast by Kiva, or we saw a bunch of them up in Washington State when I was up there visiting you guys.
That's right.
But who doesn't love a Starburst? I have a corner store where I go and spend too much money to buy ordinary staples, but I love supporting them. And they have like a little bowl of Starburst candy, and that's a candy I will say. Yes, I take a treat for Sprout and then Starburst.
Starburst? Which color? What are you going for?
Pink or red? I think red is my favorite though.
Yeah. Pink and red are definitely the go-tos. Yeah. It'd be crazy to see someone else or grab a yellow or something, lemon. But saltwater taffy is not the only thing that's interesting about New Jersey. Did you know? I didn't know this either. The streets in Monopoly are named after Atlantic City. So that's 2 Atlantic City trivia items there. But it makes sense, right? Boardwalk. But I think all the streets are named after Atlantic City. It'd be interesting to do like a comparison on valuations, right? Because remember, some streets Monopoly are very expensive. Some are very cheap. I wonder if that's held up 100 years on.
It's a good question. I haven't played Monopoly in a really long time. I think because I'm in finance, playing a game about finance is just like a little too much for me. I'm like, give me, Boggle or or Scrabble or something. Like I can get into
out of
that,
jail
but
free cards too close. So that's another one. And outside of Atlantic City, more cars are stolen in Newark than any other city in the U.S. Feel free to fact check these. This was a 5-minute little Google search that I did, so may not be true. I don't know when this was, but I thought that was interesting. New Jersey could be known for that. The other thing about New Jersey, and I kind of went down a little bit of a rabbit hole in this one, like the New Jersey Devils, like the hockey team. I mean, they're named after like a New Jersey devil, which is like a mythological creature that apparently lurks in the Pine Barrens of New Jersey. Yes. It's completely terrifying. Like there's all these, these sketches that look like from hundreds of years ago. And it looks like this half goat, half bat kind of, do you remember the chupacabra stuff?
Yeah.
Do you remember any of that? Yeah. It looks like one of those. But
so creepy.
So creepy. Very, very. And to name your hockey team after this creepy thing. And the Pine Barrens, I was like, Pine Barrens, that sounds familiar because The Sopranos. Do you remember The Sopranos episode, Pine Barrens? It's where Chris and Polly get stuck in the Pine Barrens in the snow and they like spend the night in the car and all of that. It's like one of the greatest episodes. So great. Anyways, all this fun New Jersey stuff.
Yeah, they're like trying to assassinate that like Russian guy, right? Or something. So crazy.
They shoot him and he keeps going, then he disappears. Yeah. It's good. It's a good episode.
But there was no Polly. I'm really
especially the two of them together. Yes. That dynamic is gold. But no devil in that. And it's crazy just that story, reading that. So anyways, we're talking about New Jersey because they did it. They finally did it. Just last week we were talking about this broken record is never going to happen. Are we going to talk about this week over week? And it's done.
It's done. It's slated to begin. So they did approve a number of MSOs to open their retail locations. I listened to the hearing on Monday, which was the day after my birthday. So this was really the thing I've been waiting for because as anyone knows, I'm a skeptic about any progress at the federal level, but I have long held the theory that this is all about state-to-state expansion, and that's our general thesis here at Poseidon, at least. And I think that New Jersey represents what will be a really important shift and an opening in this industry. And so groups such as TerraSend, and I saw Jason Wild posted something really funny because there was like a pregnant pause before they approved it. And he was like, my life flashed before my eyes. I mean, we're all waiting for this. So New Jersey, they said Cureleaf, TerraSend, Verano, Ascend Wellness Holdings, GTI, who am I missing? But it was great because we got to hear from the operators about how they're thinking about making sure that they're going to keep the medical patients front and center by creating different hours, by creating different access points, by making sure there's supply for them. The regulators did a good job too of outlining the sensitivity around the making sure there was adequate supply to make sure that the medical patients continue to have access with the adult use market opening. So, and I appreciate all of the sensitivities around that as a person who got into this originally because of our interest in seeing it for medical and wellness purposes and palliative care. So I couldn't be more excited. New Jersey is a massive population. Before the show, in our pre-show chit chat, we were talking about the adjacency to New York City and to Philadelphia and the traffic that passes through, not to mention, so I used to work in Lower Manhattan right by the Holland Tunnel, and I can only tell you, starting on Thursdays, but substantially on Fridays, the gridlock in Lower Manhattan to get through the tunnel, to get to New Jersey, to get to the shore, it was breathtaking. And so I feel like the more people passing through the state who are able to see it, don't forget you can take the PATH train, you can take the train, you can take, just over the bridge, you're going to have legal cannabis in New Jersey from Manhattan and from the New York metro area. So, and this is not to, New Jersey, I know we, Gavin over Gabagoo and what was it? Sativa at Satriali's. All these things, but there's so much more to New Jersey, including the Pine Barrens and the Devil and
the New Jersey Devil. Yeah, it's going to be a great market when it's really going. Just given the population and given all those things you said about proximity to major metro areas, we'll see what happens when New York kind of gets its act together with the stores and everything next year. or maybe late this year. But at Headset, we have projections of 1.6 billion in sales by 2025, and 2025 sounds far away, but it's really not that far away, just a handful of years away. So it's going to be, pretty exciting to see. And I know in all the earnings discussions we've had, it seems like every one of these organizations that have a footprint in New Jersey have really banked a lot of their growth this year on that market, kind of that state to state approach that you're mentioning Poseidon has. I think that's a big narrative for them. And it's funny that I saw the Jason Wild tweet too. It was hilarious. I laughed out loud when I saw it because I can imagine, I wasn't listening, but I can imagine, I think what they're like filing motions and they're waiting, and it just was like a pause, right? Like, is it going to happen? And then I can imagine those 5 seconds probably did feel like forever after all the planning, all the efforts. So I'm sure all these organizations that did get approved are relieved. Is it going to be in a matter of weeks at this point?
That's what we're hearing. We're hearing that now that this has been approved and they've backed it up with supply and making sure the medical patients are being protected. I think they're just going through and issuing, doing facility site visits and everything, just final steps. But it sounds like they're going to really try to get it open, by May. So we'll see. I'm happy to hear this because we've all kind of reset our fears that it would be after the first half of 2022. But the fact that it seems like it's very possible we start here, it's really exciting. And, as excited as I am as an investor, I'm also just excited for the people of New Jersey to have access to a legal cannabis market. It's really good.
It's amazing how long they've had to wait for this, but hopefully good things come to those who wait type situation. And this is a nice market in the end. If it is mid-May, I know we talked about trying to be out there. It'd be pretty cool to do it. I know MJ Unpacked is mid-May in New York, right?
That's right.
Yeah,
MJ
maybe
Unpacked.
Maybe we can, time that. That'd be cool. At the very least, if it's already rolling, it will be good to go to New Jersey and see it firsthand at that point.
Yeah, I agree. I would love to see it. I think I've talked about this before. Just the fact that Apothecarium, which is right in my backyard here in San Francisco, one of the thesis-defining retail brands in terms of us starting to invest into cannabis because we thought it was such an interesting retail experience, and now they're in New Jersey, and that's really cool to just see in the course of less than a decade that's gone from one coast to the next, and we'll be reaching a whole new group of people. And, I think Ascend has really beautiful retail experiences and some of the other ones as well. So GTI with the Rise stores, great things. Good things are coming. And it's a good point you made about good things come to those who wait, because the operators have now had the opportunity to open retail in other markets. I do think there's going to be lines. I think it's not going to be a perfect, flawless experience just because of the demand. Like what we saw, and I know we're going to talk about it, but even in New Mexico, we saw massive turnout for the opening of the retail locations there. So it's tough to get bodies through doors. Or even like last year, I remember when I went to the Cookies opening in Las Vegas with GTI. And, it's not just people are running in like a convenience store to run in and run out. People are having their first opportunity to walk. It's something you and I take for granted maybe because we've been in legal retail markets for so long. We can just walk into a store and look and ask questions. And here in San Francisco or the Bay Area, we have an open shopping thing with a little basket, and I can touch the products now. And there's so many things we can do, but it's very rare that someone's just running in and out unless they do order ahead, which I know the retailers will encourage people to do, because that's what we had to do, for example, with Ascend in Illinois, is like really try to increase the order ahead because of the volume of humans through a door. But it's going to be exciting. I'm excited.
So cool. Yeah, and the order ahead, it is tough when you're there. I think a lot of people on those early days just want to be part of something pretty unprecedented in their state that they've been in, that they're living in or visiting or whatever it is. And the order ahead isn't as exciting, right? You walk in, pick it up and go. It's still great. So I could see how, the lines happen. It takes a while. You're talking to bud tenders. You're really exploring what's there. I know certainly when I walk through those doors, I'm going to spend a fair amount of time just looking around, trying to understand what this looks like compared to other markets. And I'm sure they want you to keep moving, right? Keep
moving. Right. How much time were we spending? I know we were kind of on a specific mission last week, but we were in each of those retail doors for
25, 30 minutes. It was It was a while. So yeah, I'm here in Seattle, and Emily came to visit. We had our Headset quarterly town hall, and we took the opportunity to just visit 3 or 4 stores in the neighborhood.
It was more than that. It was a lot.
Yeah, just to kind of, here's Washington, because there are so many products on the shelves. You see new brands, you'll see new formats, and it's always great to talk. So yeah, I'm sure New Jersey will be doing the same thing with what's available, but probably won't have the same sort of assortment that you have in a market that's been around for forever here in Washington, just like Colorado at this point.
No, I mean, it'll be a limited assortment, but I know like the retailers who know what they're doing, they're going to make sure they've got a couple of tiers of like every major category on the shelves that they can, it's like, you got to have a vape, you got to have a gummy, you got to have a pre-roll, you got to have a flower, like just like what are the things you have to have so that people can at least come in and go out with something. I think beverage is going to blow people's minds on the East Coast, and I'm excited for that. But one of my most popular tweets was the tweet posting our favorite branded product that we saw in the store last week. Fire Ass Mids.
Fire Ass Mids. It's a brand that we saw. I wasn't aware of it. And yeah, just mids products only, but they embrace it, right? And mids is kind of it's like a slang term, but it seems to be like it's like now just used all the time in all sorts of contexts, but just like mid tier, right? Mid grade, not the top shelf stuff, just mid level, right? And so they name their brand around mids. And the best part is their little logo with this little happy fire with the smiley face. It was pretty dialed in. So
the little flame guy is like
did you post the picture of it too, or did you just post the name of it? Oh, you did?
I
Okay,
posted the picture because I was so obsessed with it. And the self-awareness around it is it's just
they own it. They embrace it, right? So find Emily on Twitter if you don't already follow her, and look for this picture because it's gold. This brand is gold.
I might retweet the picture with the episode link because it was, I don't know. You and I talk about this. I know I talk about it all the time. It's like, I want cannabis to evolve and I want it to become more sophisticated, but I also want it to be fun. And I just thought it was really cute and funny. And in a sea of products, it stood out.
Oh, totally. And that's the thing with Washington. It is a sea of products. Like it doesn't, I don't know what it is, like the ability to get licenses, the production. I think there's just a lot of smaller operators out there. And so the shelves just get filled, and retailers have the room or for whatever reason, they have this massive assortment. Yeah. So something like Fire Ass Mids really stood out as we were looking at hundreds of products, hundreds of brands.
Yeah. And you could actually see the mids. I'll give them credit for that too.
They
were like, we have nothing to hide. Our mids are right here. I kind of want to meet those guys. Maybe it's girls. Anyway.
They did have a vape cart, I remember seeing. You remember that? They had a extract, which kind of, they need to have like this is what goes into our vape carts, just mids. Average quality product. Like on their website or some marketing.
They needed to tie that one through. I was like, okay, we're gonna. They could have even done like something even more fun with that, which is like, this is just Fire Ass like scraps that we've extracted because it didn't even make it to mids. Like, I
think beyond, like worse than mids is shake, right? It's like
that's
the shake. So yeah, there's that's the opportunity for all those listening.
We're giving you guys
embrace the shake.
Embrace the shake.
It's funny, you never hear of any other industry where people are so, like, a brand is so proud of its like averageness, right?
No,
like we are the most average, like Fire Ass average brand. But anyways, go ahead.
I might feel like Dunkin' Donuts coffee is the most average, but like I already know all my friends in Boston are going to come and kill me for having said that.
Oh yeah.
But...
And I don't think they embrace that, do they? I mean, they kind of think it's like, oh, Dunkin' coffee, like this is good coffee, right? That's their Dunkin' Donuts is pushing it as good coffee or not. I don't know. We don't have them really out here. The West Coast.
I don't know. I mean,
they're not pushing it as like average coffee. Like, come drink our average coffee.
American runs on Dunkin'. I mean, isn't that like the everyman? You're right. They're not.
But I think that they're like, no, because our coffee is good, not because like we're average. It'd be different if they're like, come drink our average coffee, you know, which I don't think they're doing.
Fire
Anyways,
ass average coffee.
there's all sorts of room for premiumization in the market, and that kind of goes both ways, right? So not only like as there's upmarket brands, like there's plenty of room for the down market, and kind of embrace that. So hopefully we'll see a lot of that come out of, I mean, Washington has it. It's been around a long time. Maybe more markets that as they age, you'll start to see more of that. The last thing I want to say on New Jersey, though, Cory Booker, I know we're still talking about New Jersey.
Are we still there?
Cory Booker is a senator from New Jersey, right? And as one of the sponsors of the Cannabis Administration Opportunity Act with Schumer, I feel like, he's got to go home and see the stores. And it's like it's happening. I mean, medical was happening, but I mean, this is adult use now. And maybe it will light a fire under their ass a bit about like, hey, we need to really change some stuff when it's in their backyard, just like when Schumer has it in his backyard in New York. I really think that there's a fundamental like mindset shift when you can see a store and walk in a store and your neighbors are going into stores, and he's at a dinner party in New Jersey and they're talking about it. It's like happening, right? And it becomes a real thing, not just a talking point because it polls well, right? This is like, your people actually are being hurt by this, like your residents, the states you represent. So I'm optimistic. Maybe I'm like just overly optimistic at times, but I mean, I think that it can only help, right? It can only help when you have Booker out of New Jersey, and then next year with the stores opening in New York with Schumer. I know they're working on it, and I was reading just this week that they've been having interviews or starting to reach out, and it's like, I forget the senator in Alaska, I forget her name, and did you see this? And she was like, yeah, they reached out, I guess. I don't know. Like, it's like, that's the most they've done. Like, yeah, we should probably talk about senator. This. Yeah. And like, we should talk. Yeah, I guess we should talk. And then like, I think she made a statement about just, they're really focused on safe on the Republican side. So, it's like, everyone, we all see it. So hopefully having this in their backyard will maybe change some perceptions and maybe want to make something happen sooner than later. So yeah, New Jersey, let's go see it. I haven't booked travel for MJ Unpacked, but I think I'm going to go. And I know you guys are going at Poseidon, so that'd be a good opportunity to go see what's going on in New Jersey.
Yeah, I think MJ Unpacked will be cool too, because it's like brands and retailer focused, which is good for New York as a future retail and brand market. So it's cool. I think it's
totally. I think it's going to be great. So other states, you mentioned New Mexico. This is really cool. Obviously, a pretty small state with 2 million residents, but I saw some numbers, $5 million in sales first weekend. Obviously, you saw photos, people lining up. No surprise there. What do you think at Headset? It's going to be a $500 million market by 2025, which is, small on the small end, but still substantial. 500 million, 570 million in sales by 2025. And I think what's really interesting is that this is a state that borders Texas and is adult use. And kind of, looking at the geography around Texas, because I remember, Colorado has a lot of sales in the southeast kind of quadrant of the state, which is low, not a lot of population, which borders Oklahoma, but it's like a small amount of Oklahoma before you hit Texas. But still, you have Oklahoma as the buffer, and Oklahoma's medical, Arkansas medical, Louisiana medical, and then now you have New Mexico adult use. So that's interesting. I don't know like the population distribution of like Texas and West Texas like that. I don't think it's a lot of people out in West Texas, but still, it's just right there, right? It's maybe an easy drive for a lot of people. Should they? Yeah,
Lubbock, Texas, they represent. That's a market. There's some big football going on out there. So I have friends from Lubbock, Texas.
So
humans.
I mean, it'll be interesting to see, if this puts more pressure on Texas here. We've talked about before, Texas is certainly the bellwether state for the country. It's a good representation of dysfunctional government, just like the country. Yeah. Red and blue, like split down the middle, just like the country. Strange cannabis laws, just like the country. So, hopefully New Mexico will kind of nudge it a little bit. Can't hurt. But yeah, pretty exciting. Obviously smaller state, but I think it's still going to be really interesting to watch the state and see what happens. And probably really good for the residents of New Mexico to just kind of help with the economy there. Yeah. Kind of building that out.
I think so. Why not? And, there's great skiing, great art, all the things that go well with hiking. I mean, lots of wonderful things in New Mexico, so I'm happy for them. They also border on the Mexican state of Chihuahua, which does host various car racing events and other things that go on. So you just, we know that San Diego sometimes sees some cross-border stuff. I wouldn't encourage it, but not something to rule out in the history of humanity.
Sure. It definitely happens.
Yeah, I'm happy for the citizens of New Mexico to have this, and I think while it's small comparative to the country, it's meaningful for their state, so it's good.
Yeah, it is meaningful. We have a new team member who had done some work in New Mexico and was talking about how there hasn't been a lot of investment because of like real estate constraints. Like Albuquerque is kind of constrained by like the mountains there. And a lot of stuff has gone like to Arizona. A lot of like bigger companies that are making investments have gone to like the Phoenix metro area because there's more room, which is interesting to think about because, I think, oh, New Mexico, in my head, it's like a big desert full of land, but I think it's very mountainous in that area. Phoenix has some of that too, but just less constrained. So I think this is going to be good just for the state. Like it always helps the economics of a state. So really exciting to see. And just another adult use market, like that's live. You could fly to New Mexico and you can walk into a store. Very, very exciting. On the state front, last thing I want to talk about is New York again, and this 280E thing that you were telling me about, Emily. What's going on with that?
So the budget went to Governor Hochul, and it was what they included in it is an ability for operators to write off standard business expenses, unlike what they can do during it with 280E at the federal level. So basically, they're taking their 280E out of their tax construct for cannabis operators. This is important for a few reasons. One, operators in this industry, death by 1,000 cuts, the 280E. Implications to the business, it gets to about an 80% effective tax rate when you're all done with it. So any percentage points matter. So I think that's important. I also think directionally it's very positive for the industry. Again, just kind of harping on that state to state progress and having New York State, such a big state, not known for being the most tax advantaged, by the way, for small business or even any business or any humans. I went from New York State to California, which is worse, but it's just, it's not known for being a tax beneficial state. And so I thought this was a pretty important acknowledgement of what the operators are up against and trying to make it better and more enticing to open a business in New York State.
Yeah, and maybe it helps with like the federal side too. I mean, yeah, this is something like safe banking, 280E. I think these are things that really will change the dynamic of like money and cannabis, some of those constraints that we have. We work with a lot of retailers and dispensaries, and, as great as our margins are, right, they struggle with just having the capital to do things because of things like 280E. So that's really cool to see New York. I wonder, that's not in any other state, right? I'm not familiar because I'm not, we're not subject to that. But you haven't heard of it in any other state outside of New York?
No.
Yeah, this is cool. This is an example, I think, of just like states improving on like the
Yes.
other markets. And you'd think it always would be like an upward trajectory, but I feel like it's like climate versus weather, right? It's like climate, the temperature is rising, but some days are really cold, some days are warm. And it's like how like some states launch and they're like worse than others. They eventually get better. Sometimes they come out and they're a little bit better. It's just kind of random. So this is an example, I think, of something that's literally better.
I agree with you.
So yeah, that's cool. That's big news, especially for the operators. Okay, so enough about states. Let's talk about the big holiday, 420. We're 1 week away from the biggest sales day of the year.
The high holidays.
The high holidays. Have you already started your shopping? Discounts, I believe, are live today. Or not today, but they started already, right? They started way ahead.
Yeah. It's kind of like how there just used to be the holiday right after Oh my God. See, I'm
Black
not
Friday.
a traditional consumer. Yeah. Black Friday is right after Thanksgiving. So, but now I feel like there's Black Friday, Cyber Saturday,
Cyber Monday. But Cyber Saturday sounds better. That does sound better.
Cyber Saturday's better. So Black Friday, I think, goes through Sunday, basically.
Yeah.
It's a bender of sales.
It's a bender
bonanzas.
of sales. That's right. Of
Cyber
pushing
Monday.
people and grabbing those big screen TVs, all that madness.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's like, wow, what's the word for it? It just grows, like it, whether it should or shouldn't, but it just expands out, right, from that one day.
It's like a parasitic sales event. No, I mean, I don't know. I just feel like, and then I just wait for Cyber Monday. But yeah, it's funny. Actually, Morgan mentioned this, and I was curious to see on the upshot after the holiday. Morgan was like, "Oh, I'm saving up to do my shopping during the value." Of course, I mean, he's been named the penny pincher for the longest time I can remember. But so he's like saving up. I'm hoping for some BOGOs on beverage because I'd like to get my buy one, get one on that. And, so I'm already getting emails about it. I'm curious to see what this looks like. You were sharing with me before the call that there were some interesting trends last year for the 420 sales bonanza events.
That's right. Yeah. And this is, we always run data on 420 sales numbers. At Headset, we work with close to 3,000 stores, retailers, and dispensaries. So we see quite a good sample. It's like 25 cents of every dollar that transacts in cannabis goes through Headset. So, it's really interesting when these events happen just to see kind of the impact. And I mean, there's a few things like trending wise. I think what's interesting is that when we looked at last year, 2021 420 versus 2020 420, sales were up significantly. So in 2021, the relative increase of sales was 121%. So well over double the traditional amount of sales. In 2020, it was 100%. In 2020, discounts were up 93%. Average discount increase was 93%. And then 2021 is 82%. So I know audio, it's kind of hard to think through these numbers, but basically 2021 outperformed 2020 as far as total sales, and the discounts were less. And so they had to discount less, yet we saw more sales happening. Now, at the same time, 2020, 420, we were really early stages of the pandemic. And there was that whole ramp of sales kind of when things were shutting down, when people went and kind of stocked up. At the same time people were stocking up on toilet paper, they were buying a lot of cannabis because they were, we thought as well, like maybe these stores are not going to be essential businesses. So that could have impacted it. But when we look back at 2019, 2021 outperformed 2019 as well. So I think it just shows that this holiday continues to gain momentum. And, we're looking at 420 sales in these metrics on a specific day. I don't have the numbers handy for like the full week or full month of 420 that we're kind of the world we're in today. But, I think that just as the data 420 has done better, I think there are more opportunities to get discounts outside of just 422 as the years have gone on. It used to just be like a one-day thing, right? And now it's like we were saying, you get these notices ahead of time. So the fact that even on that one day sales are still up is good. It just shows that this is something that is certainly here to stay. Whether or not you're saying Morgan is going to wait till after 420 for his deals?
No, I asked him about a week ago. I was like, I wonder, because I was just kind of like watching the data and I was like, it seems like it's just like a little slower on a couple of things. And I was like, I wonder if people are waiting for the promotions to start for 420 because we've started to get conditioned, just like what we were just talking about with the Black Friday, Cyber Monday, all that stuff. And to get conditioned to wait for the deals. And which is like, that's also an interesting consumer behavior to observe, is that notion of like, I won a little bit. It's kind of like the whole thing, well, if you didn't spend the money, you'd save the money, but now I'm spending the money and I'm getting a better value for the money. And I won at that. And I think anybody will take a win right now with inflation impacting everything so much. But Morgan was saying, I mean, he is a notorious penny pincher, and he was saying he was going to wait until the promotion started for 420 to start stocking up on some of his go-tos.
Okay, so his numbers will be, when we look at this next week, or I guess the week after next, because next week is 420, Morgan's beverage sales will be in there, right? So
his will be leading up to it. As soon as the emails start going out, I'm sure he's going to be monitoring for his favorite product categories, because I feel like the different retailers do, like, it's like a gummy event today, or it's a beverage event today, or it's concentrates, and so that way you're kind of, it's kind of like the 12 days of Christmas idea, I think.
12 days of 420.
12 days of 420. But, I think it's exciting. I live in the Upper Haight area, right? I'm not going to drop a pin, but I live right around the corner from the Grateful Dead house, right up the street from Haight-Ashbury. And there's a place called Hippie Hill in Golden Gate Park that I run past when I run in the morning. And it is usually the mecca for where people go to actually light up at 420 on 420. The thing that I always found that was the most peculiar about it, which another thing we were joking about, is it's like, I don't celebrate on New Year's Eve because I just feel like it's overpriced, and we joke that it's like
Overcrowded.
amateur hour. Yeah, overcrowded. I'm like, I'll see you at the bar on Tuesday. But I think that with 420, the thing that used to bum me out about it was that I would notice people trekking through because they would park in my neighborhood. And the thing that always confounded me about folks going to Hippie Hill, I think there's the people who are the purists. And like Meadow, one of the tech companies in the Bay Area, used to do a cleanup party, which was good because instead of letting people just trash the park, they would take responsibility as people, as a part of our community, to clean it up. But where I'm going with this is I would see people walking by with handles of very cheap and high potency alcohol to take with them to the park. And I was like, this is the opposite of what we're trying to do here. I think it's funny because that was all before the pandemic. I haven't really witnessed a Hippie Hill because they didn't let it happen last year either. So I'm curious if they're going to have it this year, although I won't be here. I'll have to ask people to watch for me to see what it looks like. But I think that there has even so been a shift from alcohol to cannabis consumption. So I wonder if that is maybe going to fall into the wayside a little bit. But that was just something that used to bum me out about that event.
Yeah, so it was like both. People were drinking and consuming cannabis, like a big party.
Yeah, it was a big party, and I'm all here for a big party, but it just didn't feel like it wasn't like the highest and purest kind of observation of what we're all trying to do with cannabis. It just felt like it was like an excuse to get really messy.
Sure.
But I'm all here for it. There's some really cool history around that in my neighborhood and upholding, progress in cannabis. So I do think that at the core of that event, there was a lot of good things, but it was one of those things that you just kind of observe in passing.
Yeah. Well, it'll be interesting to see if it comes back this year. Did that demographic happen to be a lot of Generation Z, millennials?
I would say it was more, it was like more millennials.
More millennials.
I think Gen Z probably, this was a few years ago now, so they were probably too young, really. Unless maybe, I don't know.
Barely.
It was like young guys.
They would have been like 21, 22. So even if they were there, as far as age representation, it's just a small pool of people that could be there. Well, the reason why I ask is because that's another interesting stat about 420 is that sales growth by age group. Gen Z sales growth is 168% on 420 versus other days, and millennials are 125%, and then Gen X is 93%. So actually, to your point about New Year's, it seems that certain, I think we're probably borderline millennial Gen X-ish, right? And so maybe not going on 420 unless you're looking for that deal, or you're going for that deal, so you're spending less, but you're not. There's maybe less of us coming through. So yeah, it's interesting. It's all this lift is from Gen Z and millennials, and I'm sure a significant portion of that is just share of wallet and like how much they can spend and say, okay, now I'm going to get some great deals. I'm going to go in and get as much as I can because I'm pretty price conscious. Where you and I, it's like, yeah, it's nice. Unless you're Morgan, like when I'm not waiting to get my beverages, if I want to get a drink, I'll go get a drink, but I respect that he does that, but it's not for me in the same way. And, I would imagine younger generations maybe just constrained, like they want to get more, but they can't because they've got to wait for that paycheck or whatever. So interesting, piece of this. So just stuff to think about. You're a retailer, you're a brand. I mean, this is what's happening. Obviously discounting, but the consumer growth is pretty significant. Even real quick on gender, female sales 140% sales growth, male sales 107%. So double male 100% growth. It's double sales, and then female is actually higher. So for whatever reason, you're getting more of a female consumer coming through during that time period. So just good to know. Yeah, as people are making these stats, and we'll see. Maybe we'll follow up in a few weeks' time once the team over at Headset has had a minute to analyze the data. It'd be cool to see if this year is any different than last.
We should do that because I think for whatever we all think about it, it's great that we have a holiday. I mean, what industry? I don't think like soda has a holiday. There's Cinco de Mayo, so that's a day. I mean, that's also not really a real holiday, but it's like, let's have tequila. It's Cinco de Mayo.
That's maybe the closest you can get. Well, you get St. Patrick's Day, maybe.
Okay, yeah.
that's an alcohol holiday somewhat.
It's a
Maybe.
beer forward holiday.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Right.
Yeah, but I think, we have a holiday, and so that's great. So we can like build all of this enthusiasm around it, maybe some education and information, and brands can engage in different ways. Like, oh my God, I remember the one event that I really, really wished I could have done a few years ago was the Lord Jones had a sound bath meditation session. I think it was on the roof of the Standard in LA with Sigaros doing the music. And I was like, who are you? And why was I at that 420 event? But there's different ways to these activations that I think are pretty interesting. So
I think Sigaros has like a CBD line. I think they do. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Won't have the same effect at that kind of event, but interesting that they put their brand on there.
No, but you could have some cannabis and watch the end of Life Aquatic and have a full-blown Sigaros cool psychedelic experience with that tiger shark thing.
That's
such
right.
A cool scene.
That's right. That's like a claymation, right? Was that like some...
I don't know. That I always get like teared up when I'm watching it because it's so pretty.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, 420, we will be in Miami for Benzinga, which looks pretty well attended. A lot of good panelists, a lot of good people speaking. But what's really exciting about Benzinga is more poolside sessions.
More poolside.
Yeah. And these are literally poolside. We'll have a space there next to the pool. We've got some awesome guests coming on. We really enjoy doing these. For me, it's a great way to just kind of have a conversation and learn, what's going on, with these guests in a quick way. Just like really cool stuff comes out, like Valda at True Leaf and Mangos. Like that was so fun to learn about, right? It's just a different format for us and like a unique opportunity to just kind of get to know some of the movers and shakers in the industry and hopefully let our listeners into some of that as well. I really hope to treat it more and more like a conversation that we would have if we were just sitting down by the pool and just like chatting, right? And just letting people in on those conversations. So expect a bunch of that to come from Benzinga.
I think that's right. We're excited. We have some great guests coming by. We have an auspicious cabana number, so I'm pretty excited about that. It'll be good. And it's going to, I think, aside from Las Vegas, this stands to be, I think, one of the better attended, like, business-to-business investing kind of company events. So I'm pretty pumped on it.
Yeah, me too. I mean, just to kind of give everyone a sense of who we're going to have on here, we've got Abner Curtin of Ascend Wellness. That'll be really great because we've never had anyone from Ascend. Well,
we had Andrea.
We had Andrea. That's right. We had Andrea. My bad. That's right. So it'll be good to have Abner. We're going to have the one and only Morgan Paxia, which will be really cool to hear about PSDN and obviously his buy one, get one opportunity. Although hopefully he has someone buying for him because he'll be in Florida. So,
well, my guess is he's buying all week this week.
Oh.
We should. I can't wait to hear the like pennies he's pinched on his sales hunting.
Yeah, maybe we can have him bring the receipts, or at least the deals he's looking at.
Show me the receipts.
That's right. We'll work through it. His purchasing journey, how he got there. Aaron Miles from Verano will be joining us. Kim Rivers from True Leaf, very exciting. Brady Cobb, another Florida native there with Sunburn now. So really excited to hear about, that whole new endeavor of his. He did a lot previously in Florida and now he's back a second time, which is exciting. I can respect that, doing Leafly and coming back for a headset. It's like second time's always better, which we'll definitely have to talk about. Carson from Banks, who was on it was Carson. She didn't do our original pool side. She was by the pool. But she didn't, for whatever reason, didn't work out. And Nancy Whitman of Wana, which will be really cool to hear about the Canopy relationship and what's going on there. And I just saw that they launched their edibles in Puerto Rico, which will be interesting to kind of hear about, that market. So yeah, that's who we have so far, and we continue to add more. So look forward to that, and looking forward to just the event overall.
See you in Miami.
Yeah, on 420. Exciting stuff. Well, thanks so much for sticking with us and listening to the podcast. If you're enjoying it, please leave us a review. Be sure to subscribe, tell all your friends, and we'll see you all in Miami.
Thanks for listening to the High Rise Podcast, presented by Headset. For more information on Headset, visit headset.io.